Welcome back, my friends. We're going to talk about operations with complex numbers for the quiz on complex numbers. A very basic, simple quiz in which you are asked to do 4 operations between 2 complex numbers. And I've named these complex numbers Z1 and Z2. And what we're going to do is we're going to do, first of all, let's do a simple addition. We're going to say Z1 plus Z2. That looks like a 2. It meant to be a Z. And I want to know what that is. And perhaps you can work that out if you're watching at home. Pause the video, work it out, see what you get. And here's the answer. So perhaps some color coding might be better. If I say this is Z sub 1, then this would be 3 plus 7i. And we're going to add this. So we're going to do a little plus. And then we're going to have Z sub 2. And that's going to be minus 4 plus 6i. Well, I was going to do a different color. I forgot. Let's make it green. Minus 4. We're going to do this right here. This minus 4 plus 6i. And we're going to work that out. And if we work it out, you take the real parts, this and this. We're going to take this together, and we're going to get minus 1. Then we can take the imaginary parts, plus 7i plus 6i, and we're going to get 13i. And that is it. That's our answer. That is the answer to the first problem. How about that? That's the first of the 4 operations. Thank you. And now let's do minus Z sub 1 minus Z sub 2 equals, well, as before, we have Z sub 1, so that's 3 plus 7i. And now we're going to subtract, and you got to be very, very careful. We're hunting rabbits. I mean, we're subtracting complex numbers. And if we do that, don't forget the parentheses around this. Because you're supposed to subtract the whole darn thing. And if you subtract the whole darn thing, that means you have to distribute that negative. So we end up with 3 plus 7i, watch this now, plus 4 minus 6i. You heard that? You got that? You catch that? Yep. Thank you. And as a result, again, we take the real parts, so 3 plus 4, that's going to equal 7. And then 7i minus 6i. That's just going to be positive 1i or plus I. And that concludes the second operation. We have 2 out of the 4 already done. Yes. Now, times. Now we're going to do Z sub 1 times Z sub 2. So that's going to equal 3 plus 7i. And I'm going to go ahead and use parentheses because it's going to make our life easier. Oh, yes. Times, right? I don't have to put the dot, but I'll put the dot just because I know it helps you. Minus 4 plus 6i. Now, when I was growing up, we just did FOIL, and we liked it, and we were happy. But having taught math for the last 20 years, the area model has really come into vogue, and I'm actually a firm supporter of the method. I think because of the flexibility that it has, and also because I teach high school math where we do like dividing polynomials and stuff, knowing about area model is good. It helps you stay organized. It's just a good method, especially for high school students. Big fan. And so we're going to do this by area model. And now we start doing math. Minus 4 times 3 is minus 12. Oh, and again, always please work out these problems before I do them. Minus 4 times 7i is minus 28i. 3 times 6i is 18i. And 7i times 6i is 42i squared, otherwise known as negative 42. And so what's the result? Well, we'll take the real parts and add those. Minus 12 minus 42, that's negative 54. And we'll take the imaginary parts and add those together, and we get minus 10i. And that is our answer.
I have a question.
Yes.
How come when you multiplied 6i and 7i, the I disappeared?
Excellent question. I will expand on that. So for those of you listening at home, the question was about what happens to 6i times 7i. And if you see this right here, this becomes 6 times 7 times I times I. In other words, this is 42i squared. But remember what I is. I is the square root of negative 1. And so if you square the square root of negative 1, you get negative 1. So this is really negative 42. And that is why that became negative 42. Excellent question. Thank you. Now we begin our final operation. And I can already tell it's going to be a nasty fraction. But such is life. That's what we're here for. So the fourth and final operation that you have to do in your quiz is we're going to divide. We're going to take z sub 1 divided by z sub 2. In other words, we're going to have 3 plus 7i and we're going to divide this by negative 4 plus 6i. And I hope you don't mind if I zoom in a little on this. Please work this out. If you're at home, pause the video, work it out, see if you can do it. And welcome back. What this is or the method that we should use, I should say, is remember we need the denominator to be a real number. We need the denominator to be entirely real. And if you remember what I said in class, in order to make a complex number entirely real, you must multiply by its conjugate. And so we have to multiply by the conjugate of the denominator, top and bottom. So what is the conjugate? Well, we're looking for the conjugate of z sub 2. Z sub 2, and we'll use this little symbol here. That equals minus 4 minus 6i. All right, that's what that is. And so that's what we're going to multiply by. This is what we have to multiply by. And we have to do that top and bottom. So this right here is going to be minus 4 minus 6i. And on the bottom, same thing, minus 4 minus 6i. And we're just going to multiply across. And what that means is we're going to have to do the area model twice. One for the numerator and one for the denominator. Well, do we have to? Well, do you remember the trick? Remember the pattern?
I think so.
Do you want me to remind you?
Yeah.
So, if you remember, I mentioned that A plus BI times, in other words, any complex number, right? A complex number, a plus bi, times its conjugate, a minus bi. Can you see? I can't write there. I'll put the dot really high. I apologize, my video software is in the way. If you multiply a complex number by its conjugate, what you get is you get the square of the first plus the square of the second, but just the real parts. So for the denominator, I actually don't have to do all that out because it's simply going to be the first part squared, in other words, 16, right? 4 squared, plus b squared, the real part on the b, that's 6, so 6 squared is 36, so plus 36. I hope I didn't blow your minds. I hope that makes sense. I hope you understand what I just did. Do I have to do that out more? That's a 16. Thank you for your question. It is 4 squared. Right, so if my a is -4 and my b is 6, then a squared plus b squared equals -4 squared plus 6 squared is what I'm trying to say. And that's why it's 16 plus 36 on the denominator. The numerator, well, that's lovely. I will do the area model for this. So we have 3 plus 7i, and we have -4 minus 6i, which is just lovely. And that's going to give us -12, -28i, -18i, and -42i squared, in other words, 42. And so this will result in 30 minus 46i and now we need to simplify. So this becomes over 52, right? This is 30 minus 46i over 52. And we can divide top and bottom by 2. So this will be 15 minus 23i. And we can already split up the denominator. 26, 26. And because those are relatively prime, we're done. Just to be clear, that's in front. And we can put this, actually, can I move this? I'll just rewrite it one more time. So therefore the answer is 15, sorry, negative, oh no, I'm sorry, that's right, 15 over 26 plus negative 23 over 26 times I. Although, honestly, we don't have to put that minus there. It's fine. We just put it right here. You're allowed to do that. And that's it. That's our answer. And that's basically the quiz tomorrow. So you have to add 2 complex numbers, subtract 2 complex numbers, multiply them, and divide. And the division, of course, is the most difficult part because of all the complex conjugates and all the steps you have to take. Yes, question? How did I get 15 and 23? I divided top and bottom by 2.
And
Yes, and I split that up. So the question was, how did I get 15 and 23? I divided this part right here by 2, top and bottom, and I could have left it over 26 as a unified denominator, but I decided to go ahead and split that up because why not? Yes, another question. Then if you cannot divide it by 2, then you just split them up and leave them be. And so it would just be, for example, let's just pretend like 52, you couldn't simplify that. It would just be 30 over 52 minus 46 over 52 times I. And another important thing is I want this I to be by itself, not as part of the fraction. Because that's the whole idea of a plus bi. Because that's how we have it be a coordinate in the complex plane. All right, my friends, thank you for watching. I hope that was helpful to you. Good luck on the quiz. Please like, share, and subscribe. And, of course, buy my merch. Thank you till next time. See you later.